Hello traders everywhere. Adam Hewison here, co-founder of MarketClub with your 1 p.m. market update for Wednesday, the 22nd of June. Yesterday it was Greece. Today's Ben Bernanke and the Fed. What's really going on with the equity markets is that nobody has a strong feeling either on the upside or the downside. This type of neutrality is reflected with a 65% reading indicating the markets remain in a trading range. And they're likely to continue there until something kicks them off in one direction or the other. Today we want to do something a little bit different. We're going to be going through each of the markets like we normally do, but we're going to be focusing in on two markets that I think are important. One is the crude oil market, and the other one's silver. I think you'll find our analysis quite interesting and informative. But let's get started. Normally how we look at these markets is let's look at the S&P 500. And here you can see the market moved up out of the channel. And if you remember, we talked about an oversold condition. A little bit of bullish divergence there. Market moved up. It's towards the midpoint of the channel. I think we are still pretty much going sideways in this market. I don't see any real strong upward momentum. The longer term indicator remains positive. The medium term is negative, meaning a neutral market and a trading range. So let's go into the next market, which is silver. We're going to be focusing on that a little bit later. So let's bypass that. Let's go on to gold. Gold, which made a new recovery high here. It's at the top of the index, the top of the channel rather, and this market is now getting into an overbought condition. Not to say it can't go higher. The trend certainly is on an uptrend, plus 100. We've been basically bullish on this market. And I'll put our daily trade triangles in. We've been long this market from 1532. The market's at 1553. That's about $21 profit. And we're going to hold this position and see how it plays out. But as always, we'll have stops in this market, and we'll watch it very carefully. So let's go to our next market, crude oil. In crude oil, we're going to cover that in more detail in just a second. So let's go to the dollar index. Dollar index, as you well know, we are moving up towards the high end of the range. The market's below its 200-day moving average. You are still in this sort of broad base decline. If you go further out, it still looks negative to us, and certainly the action the last few days is a sell signal at 74.89 for short-term traders only. Longer-term traders remain short this market from 81.45 and 74.40. So again, the trend is down, clearly down, and I expect that's going to test the 73.50 level, this lower part of the Donchian channel. So looking back at our next market, which is the CRB Index, the Reuters-Jefferies Index. This is the big one where inflation, non-inflation, what's going on. And this is how we see this market. We've been going sideways, if you look at this market, since basically early May. Boom, 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 boom. The Donchian channel just continues to go down here where we just popped out of it. As we've said, the market usually can go out and come back in. We haven't seen it reverse yet, but certainly it would not surprise me to see a recovery back up to the top end of the Donchian channel. But nonetheless, the trend right now is somewhat negative on the weeklies. The dailies, however, are saying it's a contradiction, and basically that you should probably be just neutral in this market at the moment. So I think this is really kind of a nobody knows which way these markets are going to go. So let's go to our key market here. The first one we're going to analyze is the crude oil market. So let's go back to our portfolio and look at crude oil. And there we have it. We're minus 75. We've talked about this market going down, but look, we also talked about how this market was getting outside of the channel, and also we're oversold. A couple of things I want to share with you, and this is what I thought was very interesting. I did this earlier today, and I'll scope this out. It's very easy to do with MarketClub. And I'm actually going to go to a weekly chart. And this is something I highly recommend you look at. And I'm going to take all the triangles off because we don't need them for this particular exercise. Scope it out a little further. And I'm going to go from the high here to the low using our Fibonacci tool. We've talked about Fibonacci tools a lot in the past. Simply scope it down to the lows right here. And as you can see, a 50% retracement was right here. You can see that number. And a 61.8% is 90. So somewhere in those levels, getting towards the low end of the channel, I would definitely want to be looking to, let me just see if I can pull this over. I would definitely want to see us get looking at this market on the long side, we just popped outside of the weekly Donchian channel. If we go down here, you can see the market's oversold, not unlike these areas back here. And I think that we want to watch this market carefully. We've had some big volume, of course, but I think we're at the lower end of the range, both in the Donchian channel and also with the Fibonacci numbers. So I think you really want to be cautious here. I think we could have another week, maybe another week after that, sort of going sideways, a little choppy market, but I think eventually we'll see this market turn around and start and head back up. That's my feeling on the market right now. But we want to see an indication that it's going to happen. First of all, right now our indications are the market is pretty negative. Monthly and weekly down. The daily saying really not so fast. It's a little bit of a trading range. So I think you want to be a little bit cautious here. But nonetheless, we're at the lower end of the trading range like we were here. And we popped out and, of course, went up and went up and up. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the reality is usually when you get down to the lower end of the Donchian channel, the market pops back up. So let's see how that works out. Let's go back to our markets and let's look at silver. This is interesting. With silver is fascinating to me right now. We've got a weekly chart up here, and I'll scope this in just a little bit more. And this is what I saw in this weekly channel, and I didn't particularly like what I saw. A couple of things. One is if you do trend lines, and we'll do a trend line here. This is what I saw. I saw this action here like this, and the action here like this. Now, I think what we're doing, we're coming to a apex of this triangle, and depending on which way we break out, depending on which way we break out, that's going to determine the next trend. However, this type of formation normally breaks out to the downside, and that could well be the case here. I mean, why has silver not participated at all in this rally in gold? It really hasn't done that at all. So you look here, we're sort of getting oversold, not quite yet. We're not to these levels here, and we're certainly not at the lower end of the Donchian channel. So I think we need to see this market maybe exhaust itself on the downside, and maybe that's the time to buy. But right now, this market is in a trading range, and I want to emphasize that. The monthly is up, the weekly is down, however. We need to see this weekly turn up, and that's going to give us a clue of the next move, in my opinion. But let's watch these areas very carefully because, as I say, we're seeing a dichotomy here between gold and silver. Silver is not participating on the upside. Gold certainly is acting well. So let's see how that plays out. But this is Adam Hewison for Market Club with the 1 p.m. update for Wednesday the 22nd. Be sure to tune in to our show tonight at 5 p.m. We're going to do a live show. We'll be taking your calls and answering any questions on the markets as we see them. So let's have fun tonight. Join the show. You're part of the show. It's all about you and the money and the Market Club and our indicators. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you all at 5.